Welcome back to Film Master Reviews. I'm Adam J. You ever have that movie that you know you love with all your heart, but yet it has so many issues that you simply just can't get those issues out of your head? No matter how much we may love something, it is important for us to point out and acknowledge any flaws it may have. For example, my favorite movie of all time is James Cameron's Aliens. That movie features Sigourney Weaver crawling out of an airlock withstanding the entire vacuum of space. Does it defy any and all logic? Absolutely. But you know what? It looks fucking awesome. I'll allow it. And that brings us to the topic of today's video, Spider-Man No Way Home. It's no secret I love this movie, but regardless of how much I love it, the movie had a ton of inconsistencies and plot holes that were pretty damn easy to spot, and left me with so many questions after it was over. And if I'm going to sit here and praise a film, I need to be able to point out its problems as well. So, with that being said, here are the top 10 biggest head-scratchers from Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 10 is going to be the Harry Osborn references. There's a scene in the movie where Ned asks Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man if he had a best friend in his world. Tobey Maguire says, "I did. He died in my arms right after he tried to kill me." It's heartbreaking.
Hold up. Time out. Flag on the play, traveling, offsides, clipping. Hold up. Wait.
Yes, Harry Osborn did indeed try to kill Peter in Spider-Man 3. And yes, he did die in his arms. However, Harry died saving Peter's life. He helped you take on Venom and Sandman, he helped you save Mary Jane's life, and he sacrificed himself for you right before he died. Why would Tobey's Peter insult the memory of his friend like that? Yes, he did try to kill you, but he redeemed himself and died saving you. I'm sorry, why are you not acknowledging this? Also, just on a side note, Tobey says later on in the movie he doesn't know how to work as a team. Really? I mean, you were doing a pretty damn bang-up job of it in Spider-Man 3. Was Harry a joke to you? Was he just a joke? In Spider-Man 3, Flint Marko never had any problems going back into his human form. In this movie, however, he's in sand form the entire time until he's cured in the end. Even when he tries to look more human, he's just covered in sand and we don't see the actual actor. Why can't he control that part of his powers anymore? In addition, in The Amazing Spider-Man, Kirk Connors would often go back and forth between being the Lizard and being Kirk Connors. So why is he just in lizard form this whole movie? Evidently, though, there is a behind-the-scenes reason for this. Apparently, they could not get Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans in the studio for filming, so everything with them was limited to voice work. That's why the footage you see at the end of the movie is clearly reused footage from both Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man film, respectively. I mean, honestly, you'd have to be blind to not see that those shots were taken directly verbatim from those films. While this is an inconsistency, this is one I can actually give a little leeway on, as there is a solid reason behind it. Number 8 is just Electro. Just Electro. In this film, Doctor Strange's spell accidentally pulls in people who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man after Peter screws everything up. Okay, I accept your premise. But if that's the case, the fuck is Electro doing here? He never even met Peter Parker in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he sure as hell didn't know that Peter was Spider-Man. I mean, how about pulling in a villain who does know Peter is Spider-Man? Like, oh gee, I don't know. Dane DeHaan's Goblin? Duh! In fact, I'm sorry, it would have been great to have him here. I mean, think about it. The whole thing in this movie is that they're trying to cure the villains. Here is a character who has an illness, who is dying, who literally has to be cured of something. What if the cure for his illness actually existed in Tom Holland's universe? It would also create more conflict for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man having to save the one who killed the love of his life. I don't know, that just kind of felt like a wasted opportunity to me. But back to Electro. Don't get me wrong here, I love seeing Jamie Foxx back as Electro. Okay, I thought everything they did with him was really well done. That doesn't change the fact that his appearance here makes no sense with the film's premise. In addition, I can buy that the powers are different, being that we're in a different universe. I even liked the redesign of him. I thought that was pretty cool. It was a very creative design. But how does he have his body back? How is his hair different? And how is his personality done a complete 180 since the last time we saw him? I mean, I'm sorry, how do you go from massive dork to smooth-talking badass at the drop of a hat? Don't get me wrong, I like seeing Jamie Foxx be a badass like everyone else in the world, but he is the complete opposite of the character he was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and in all honesty, it is a bit distracting. yeah, this is one that'll really get you going here. So when Norman Osborn arrives in this universe, it's established that Oscorp doesn't exist. Okay. In addition, when Kirk Connors is mentioned, Peter doesn't seem to know who that is. So here's my question. If there's no Kirk Connors and there's no Oscorp, what spider bit Peter? Really, it's a legit question. Where did it come from if there's no Oscorp and no Dr. Connors? That's kind of a big question left unanswered from this series, and it's one of the biggest flaws of them not doing an origin story for this version of Spider-Man. When all the villains team up at the end, why is Sandman with them? Legit question, why is he with them? Sandman stated earlier in the movie that he wanted to get back home so he can be with his daughter. So why would he be fighting against the people who are actively trying to cure him and send him home? You can't even make the argument that he thinks he'll die. Spider-Man let him go at the end of Spider-Man 3, and his daughter is absolutely paramount to him. There was absolutely no reason for him to join Electro and Lizard in the final fight of this movie. It bothered me when I saw the movie, and honestly, it still bothers me now. Someone please explain this to me. What the fuck was Venom doing here? In the post-credit scene for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, they show clear as day that Venom has arrived in the MCU. So what does he do in No Way Home? Nothing. Does nothing. They show Brock drinking at a bar in a post-credit scene. Him and Venom are sent back to their respective universe, and only a sliver of black goo is left at the bar. Which I'm guessing was setting up the black symbiote for Holland's universe. Because, you know, they couldn't just set up the symbiote of this universe. Whatever. But why was Venom even in this movie? He didn't fight or do anything, and the sad thing is, if he had joined the fight, it would have rounded out a Sinister Six for the movie. Yeah, they had 5 villains in this film, but people are still calling it a Sinister Six film. People don't know how to count, apparently. I don't get it. But honestly, this was like promising your kid Disneyland and taking them to the fucking dentist. Why would you tease that just to do nothing with it? I'm not understanding the logic behind it. In addition, Venom, as far as we know, doesn't have a Spider-Man in his universe, and even if he does, much like Electro, he sure as hell doesn't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And please, don't even get me started on that bullshit multiversal hive mind theory. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard, and I'm not going to acknowledge it. Even if we wanted to assume that was the case, why would this Venom be here and not the one from Spider-Man 3? In this film, when Norman is confronted by Doc Ock and the other villains, both Octavius and Sandman know firsthand that Norman was the Green Goblin. Sandman even states that it was all over the news when the Goblin died. I'm sorry, how do they know this? How? The identity of the Green Goblin was never public knowledge in Maguire's universe. I mean, shit, his own son didn't even know he was the Goblin until the end of Spider-Man 2. It sure as hell wasn't all over the news as Sandman suggests. This was one that was making me tilt my head watching the trailer, and honestly, the movie didn't really help out with it at all. Out of all the villains in this film, only 2 of them ever died fighting Spider-Man. The Green Goblin and Electro, and being that Electro was pure energy, even he's debatable. The Lizard was cured, Sandman was forgiven by Spider-Man and let go, and Doc Ock sacrificed himself, proclaiming that he would not die a monster. So when Doctor Strange suggests that their fates are to die fighting Spider-Man, it doesn't really make any sense. It does for maybe 2 of them, but not for the rest. Dear God, this is one that's been killing me. Where do the villains go? This is probably the most puzzling question I had after the movie ended. So the film ends with all the villains being cured, being returned to their respective universes. So are they being returned to the place in time where they were taken from? Because if that's the case, I'm pretty sure Electro and Green Goblin are still kind of fucked. In addition, would sending them back to those moments in time fuck up their respective timelines? Or alternatively, are they returned to the current present where Toby and Andrew were taken from, because if that's the case, there are now two completely cured versions of Dr. Connors in Andrew's universe. Oh god, none of that's ever explained, and it's one of those things where the more I think about it, the more my head actually hurts. Mysterio. Seriously, Mysterio. This is one I noticed immediately, and it's one that makes the entire spell subplot of this film fall right on its ass. And what I mean by that is this. Why wouldn't you just ask Doctor Strange to make everyone forget Mysterio? Really think about it. Everyone forgets Mysterio, no one remembers what he said, no one remembers your Spider-Man, you're happy, your friends are happy, you all go to college, problem solved. Problem fucking solved. There's no movie. This was the easiest friggin' solution that solves every goddamn problem at the start of this movie. But no one thinks to do this, because if they did, we don't have a film. This story doesn't work in any capacity if anyone in this film is smart enough to think of this solution. And what kills me is that it's clearly the most obvious solution, just smacking everyone in the damn face. Because of that, it is the single biggest head scratcher in this film. And guys, that's my 10. That's all I got for this. There's a lot you could pick apart about No Way Home, but when all is said and done, the ends truly justified the means. Getting to see these villains again, getting to see all three Spider-Man actors on screen together for the first time, it was just a wonderful feeling, and despite all the logic issues with the movie, that's enough. If a film is this entertaining and can make you feel this good, then screw the logic issues. Sometimes it's okay to just sit in a movie and have a blast.
In this case, do yourself a favor. Put aside logic. Do what feels right.
Thank you all for watching. What did you think of No Way Home? Please let me know in the comments. Also, if I missed any other head scratchers that you had in the movie, please feel free to put them in the comments as well, and please subscribe if you want to see more.